Hello, and welcome to Empowerment Radio, the podcast of empowerment coaching. I'm Adrienne Elise. Well, the title of today's podcast is called Claiming Joy. And so even just beginning to think about this topic, we all want joy. We all want to be happy. It seems like that is a big part of what we try to accomplish in our life, what we want to, we're trying to build a life for ourselves. We're trying to enjoy our life. We're trying to create the material wealth we need to be able to enjoy life. And yet this world and the messages we're being told and the narrative on the news and in our whole kind of reality is that this isn't a happy world. We've got also a myriad of things keeping us from working against us, and electromagnetic frequencies and GMOs in our food, chemtrails, you name it, fluoride in the water. And all of these things have the end result of keeping us from joy. Keeping us from feeling good, keeping us from our birthright, the true essence of who we are. See, this is the deal. Out beyond this manifested 3D reality, there's so much more. And when we buy into this narrow existence and our day-to-day reality and what the controllers want us to see, think, and feel, then we're going to feel depressed. There's something like 40% of our population on SSIs, mood-altering pharmaceutical prescriptions. So that tells you right there about what we're doing, what we're dealing with here. And so a simple concept, sounds very benign and simple, claiming joy, becomes quite a radical, revolutionary idea. A concept that threatens the whole of our control paradigm. So let's break this down. We've got the world telling us that horrible things are happening all the time. People are bad people. They're going crazy. They're killing each other. And the economy's tanking and we're killing our planet. And there's no way we can stop these things because money rules the show. And isn't it funny that here we are trying to find joy through money? See, this is an interesting thing about joy, is that we have been conditioned to believe that we can have joy based on the conditions of this 3D reality. So when you have that car you really want, you're going to feel happy. When you have that relationship you want, you're going to feel happy. But we can never find our internal true source of life, source of joy, based on conditions of the outside world, of this 3D manifested reality. Why? Because there's so much more. So true joy isn't because of some sort of condition in our life. It springs from within. Because we are joy. This is the thing. This is the biggest lie in this narrative of control energies on the planet right now. Is that we have to go out there and seek joy and find it and claim it. Well, I'm telling you, it's a gold rush. We have an opportunity right now to be leading on the leading edge examples of the truth of who we really are, which is joy. So it's interesting because we have this idea that, well, our conditional reality, what we have when we get that car, we get that relationship, we're going to be happy. And yet we also have conditions on our existence, who we really are. Because when you take away okay, so just say, you're in the deprivation chamber, or you're in the place where you're going to remove all of your external stimuli. You're going to remove all of the control energies. You're going to remove all of the issues and problems you're dealing with, and you're going to come into the now moment completely. Then you're going to feel really good. This is an interesting thing because one of the things that really proved to me the level of control energies we're under, especially in the United States, is that I had a client I was working with healthcare, and she moved out of the country, and she went through a detox. And she had to go through a detox because she left the United States, because she was out of the microwave frequencies and the lower EMFs and the chemtrails, and not so much. It's now getting all over the world, but we are convinced through the conditions of our outside world that we can never be happy, that the world is hopeless, it's full of despair. And when you go and try to break this code, this is part of the interesting thing in exploring this topic of claiming joy. You can come up with quite a bit of resistance. How dare you be happy when there's all these horrible things going on in the world? It's almost like it's become a societal expectation. It's like, are you an American or not? Because we in America are in despair. We're hopeless. We never have enough. Nothing's ever good enough. And this is the story that we're told. And so when you go and you break this, people get angry. They can actually get angry with you. Like, how dare you break the paradigm and be happy when all these people are suffering? And this is a hard one for indigo souls because they're so sensitive to collective energy. But it's part of the bigger trap. See, the deal, and I've talked about this with indigo souls, is that they're very powerful projectors. Now, so the amount of sensitivity that you have to collective energy, to the emotions of the people around you, to that same ratio, you have the ability to affect the collective and affect the people around you. And so we can be projectors of joy. That's really what we're here for. And yet we're so bogged down and so sensitized. And it's like, and then put on top of the sensitivity, the karma that the indigo souls come in with. You guys have been blamed and set up and manipulated and betrayed so many times. It is unbelievable, over many lifetimes. And to the point where each individual soul has some strange feeling. This goes back to the catastrophe of Atlantis, and even in off-planet before this Earth evolution stories, blaming you. It's your fault. So indigos walk around with this strange subconscious feeling like everybody's pain is their problem. So when you have that level of karma, it's pretty hard to feel like it's okay for you to be happy, and yet that is what we're here to do. And the indigo revolution is about the indigos waking up out of this nightmare and waking up into the dream of why we're here on planet Earth. And taking the power of projection and being the living, breathing example of joy. So before we were in this body, and before we had any name or association or career or label, male, female, teacher, healer, any kind of role in society, we were just that. We were just source. We were just energy. And that was, we get this mixed up, that we think that this world that we see is the creation. But the creation came before that. Creation is actually energy first, then manifestation. So we are first energy. This is the I am consciousness This is that I am before I am anything else. I am what can't be named before I had any kind of label. So inherently, and quantum physics has proven this to be true, that we are all a microcosm, a fractal, so to speak, of source energy. That means that it's right here within us. This is our natural state, is joy. And here we have the world telling us that we're not being responsible citizens if we're too happy. Because it's flying in the face of what we're being told. So what we need to realize, especially indigo souls, but all of us in human bodies with our higher level capacities in our what's available to us on the planet right now, in the bodies that we have an availability to activate into our higher chakra system, into our higher intuitive knowing. And we are the projectors of our reality. And so the way the controllers are maintaining control and have throughout time has to do with keeping us in a paradigm of suffering and trauma and despair and hopelessness. It's like a paradigm that we've been abandoned by God. We've been just left here by, it's like we, maybe even a story, a lot of indigos feel like somebody dropped them off here in the world, and they're completely alone. And are they going to come back and pick you up? And just waiting for that day. Like, this is not my home. Who are these people? How did I get here? Take me home. And this is the deal. It's like, we have to find that home by remembering who we really are and come home into the source, truth, God, creator, energy within our own being. It's basically just the basic truth of who we are. And when you take away all of the other factors of life, what do you have? You have source energy. What do you have that does not change in this world? We're constantly evolving, constantly growing. Time is moving on. Things just continually come and go. There is nothing that's constant in this world except for one thing. And that is who we really are, where we came from, what we're made up of. Source. Source is not in despair. Source sees the bigger picture. So that's one clue to how we can reclaim joy. And sometimes it's like, okay, I'm going to see the bigger picture in the situation, right? Like, something bad happened to me. My initial thing is like, oh, I felt victimized by the world. Why do these bad things always happen to me? Did I do something wrong? It's like, God doesn't love me anymore. This is like our narrative that humans go through. And so it can take some layers to get the bigger picture. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to look, okay, maybe there's a good side of this, right? A silver lining. I might not even see it for years or lifetimes. But, now we have to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger in our bigger picture. Because eventually we just get out of this old paradigm and we see that, from far, far away, the earth is completely harmonious and peaceful. The planets move in an amazing rhythm. They're suspended in space. And a rhythm moving through the sky. There is a force holding all of this together. And it's not about us against that force, or us not being supported by that force, or us not being able to, it's just us not being able to remember and access this source. So the bigger picture becomes really, really important. And so let's say that you have, so the other thing is that we get caught in this really conditional place of joy. Like, joy comes from when we have what we want. And this is really huge programming. And actually, as soon as you have what you want something else. So that's not where joy comes from. Joy comes in the moment when you can disattach from all this other stuff. When you can go into your inner chamber And, let's just go there right now into your inner chamber, releasing all of your worries and cares, your problems, your issues. They'll be there when you get back. Feel yourself grounded and attached, communicating with Mother Earth through the base of your spine. Just take a few deep breaths, releasing all of what's not present in this now moment. And then just go ahead and realize we spend so much of our time and so much of our day thinking about what's wrong. We need to fix this. We need to have more of this. We don't have enough of this. I need to go change that. But really, when you go deep into this now moment right here, right now, you have everything. You have everything available to you. It's really nice to get comfy and cozy, just feel secure, just have, our basic things. Have a little food, have some water, get warm or in comfortable clothing, and just be. And realize that you have everything right here, right now. And this is our natural joy. And so you come back into this now moment. You come back into that source. I love how Abraham Hicks, Esther, who channels Abraham Hicks, talks about the cork. That in where our natural state of joy is the cork floating above the water in circumstances, just like these conditions that we think will make us happy, the same conditions come along and make us sad. So if our happiness, our joy isn't based on conditions, but it's based on our availability to give ourselves a moment, as much moments as we can throughout the day, and recognize and remember and remind ourselves that we are the joy we're seeking. But conditions come along and they seem to work against our joy. Like we said, there's all kinds of things going on in the world. A horrible negative narrative and despair and poverty and war and destruction of the planet, and you name it. There's plenty of things to feel bad about. And so these come along and hold the cork, our natural state of joy, underneath the water. But guess what? Take a minute, go into your now presence, claim who you really are beyond this world and before this world and forever after this body's gone. And remove all of this story of this life and the narrative of this world. And guess what? Your cork bobs right back up to the top every single time. So claiming joy has to come in the moment. It's really the only time we really live. It's really nice to go into your own world. It's one thing to meditate, be in the moment, and separate from all of your daily concerns, separate from technology. It's another thing to go deeper into like the creative process, where that feeling when you just kind of lose yourself. And think about how much you're not thinking, you're deep in your project and you're just experiencing, creating. You have everything you need. There is nothing that you don't have in that moment. And so these are ways that, by claiming the moment and reminding yourself again and again that you are the true source of joy. Joy is within you. Nobody can take it away, no matter how many control mechanisms we're operating under on this planet right now. Our energy field is so much more powerful. And so when you stop and you breathe and you feel the breath of life within you and you remember that you're source before all of it, and then you can take that deeper into the creative process where you're just at one with Source and experiencing, and everything is perfect. As you release and surrender into the creative process. Now, this could be lots of things. It could be cooking a meal. It could be doing art or music or writing. There's lots of, just so many ways to get into the creative process. And but it's definitely a helpful way to reclaim that joy when you have, say, first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning is a great time because when we sleep, we kind of reset our whole vibrational system, and we can claim that purity, that connection in the morning with a meditation, maybe even 5 minutes of just oh yeah, I'm Source. I'm reminding myself of what I was before all this and what I will be after all this, and no one can take this away, and I am that. And or to use that first thing in the morning, that go into some sort of creative project. It's a really, really great way to remind yourself you have everything you need within, and your true joy exists as your natural birthright. Another thing that brings joy for me is to get out and to communicate with nature, to feel, to move in nature, to be outside, and to breathe fresh air, to feel the natural elements. And it just reminds me that we're in a living, breathing world. When we're in cities and towns and we are just surrounded by technology, it's all positive ions. We need the negative ions of nature to kind of keep us in this, just to remind us that we're in a living, breathing world, not a hard, cold, materialistic world like they want us to think. So that can be really, really helpful in claiming joy. And so you do these things, right? You do what you need to do and whatever works for you. And you're going to claim that sense of the bigger picture is that we're succeeding, we're winning, we are bringing the light to planet Earth. It's happening. There is an amazing future ahead of us, and just claiming that hope and that joy of the bigger picture of, we didn't go through all of this. There's so many star seeds on the planet right now, and indigo souls, crystal souls, and we're not all here just to become a part of the mind control mechanisms. It's like we're in the process still of setting ourselves free and setting humanity free, but what's available for us in the future of this golden age we're moving into, the age of Aquarius, is available also right now, because we know why we're here. And this is the power of the indigos. This is the indigo revolution, when you can stand up and say, hey, there is so much more out there, and it's all beautiful and great and amazing. And the miracle of life, and the miracle of being in a body and experiencing life coursing through you right here, right now, and being brave enough to be that living, breathing example. So you did it. So you set your vibration, and you're feeling good about things, and you're moving through your life. And, some people you encounter will be uplifted. Most people, but a lot of times the hardest part about claiming your joy is that when you come up against these people, energies, control energies, but, manifested through people who feel like you are somehow betraying them by being happy. And then it triggers inside of you all the people you feel like you may have hurt, even if you didn't try to hurt them, but in past lives. And it feels like, it can really just be like, yeah, okay, well, maybe I'm happier if I'm sad. But we're not here for that. We're here to be projectors of the new reality, that's the old reality, that's the true reality. And we are actually betraying the truth of who we are in our soul. So indigo souls have had many, many evolutions and gained many gifts of purity in their soul, compassion, empathy, an appreciation for beauty, an ability to carry and hold the light of truth. And so when you let this world get you down into despair, and start playing out the hopeless narrative in your mind and getting stuck into a psychological mind rather than in the true source of who you are, the people around you are going to tell you that you're betraying them by being happy. But the truth is you're betraying your very own soul. And this is where we need to stand up, because nobody in this life is going to come along and tell you to take care of your soul. The world is not set up in this physical reality for that level of support. You can find it here and there, but we are the only ones who can live true to us and what we're here for, and the truth of the cosmic whole, the magic that is within us and around us, and everything else is a lie. And so when these people give you a hard time about being happy, it's too bad that they want to, but they get to live in the lie. And let it validate your happiness. Let it validate your commitment to your true soul spirit essence, to your path, to your desire to be the light in this life. Now, we talked about the indigo souls being powerful projectors, being able to affect the people around them. And this is the deal where everything that's happened in the world, in our collective consciousness, as in horrible instances throughout time, have been allowed to be created through first having hopelessness and fear in the collective consciousness. So when we're carrying as projectors hopelessness and fear, then we are allowing the negative paradigm to continue to have control. So we're like a computer and we have bad software. And it's really important for us to understand that it's time to take back control of our computer. And how do we do that? We claim our joy. And we put a new software in there, which is the old software, which is the original software, which is the truth of who we really are. Right here, right now. See, the thing is that with the law of attraction, there's a lot of kind of misunderstood concepts there. But the real truth is that what we put our attention on in the vibrational energy that we are at is what attracts to us and what we create. And so if we are in despair and hopelessness, and things are never going to get better, we can never win against this monster, we can never get out of the poverty, we can never, then we continue to attract that vibration. And it's really difficult. If you're down there and this is where society wants us, particularly targeted souls, they want you in despair and hopelessness. And so the most radical, powerful, revolutionary thing you can do is take back control of your computer, get in there and rewire, get new software of the one true source that you are, you were, you will be forever. That's your natural state, that cork bobbing on the top of the water with lightness and levity and hope. And then you can be that living, breathing example of the truth, of hope and joy. Joy, we think, we're kind of led to think that the more money you have, the more things you have, this is how we have wealth. And these are the commodities that you need to work with, to buy your food and keep yourself sustained in this life. But actually, the most powerful commodity, the most powerful currency in this world is joy. True, living, breathing joy. When you are connected to what you know is out there, beyond what we've been told. And that is the greatest wealth of this world. And so, we must find permission. And we must claim our joy. And more than anything else, specific that your soul spirit desires in this life, it wants that. Actually, that's the necessary part that must come first. We're told, well, when you have that dream job, you'll be happy. But no, 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 no. Mm-mm. When you claim your joy within, that you are your own source, the never-ending, never-ending fountain of joy that's within you as your birthright, as a being, a human being in this cosmic consciousness. And don't give it away. Don't let the forces or the people around you take this from you. And of course, we have times when we don't feel joy, but can you still feel that connection to source and feel all the emotions that you feel? You still have that bigger, greater, deeper trust, and it grows in you, and it becomes who you are, like who you were before you were who you are, and who you will be again. And so you are underneath everything, that true source. The most valuable commodity. Joy. Well, thank you so much for joining me for Empowerment Radio, the podcast of empowerment coaching. Empowerment coaching is here to help you feel that feeling of being on your path. One step. The first step is all you need to feel the exhilarating feeling of being on your path. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Adrienne Elise. Until next time, namaste.